Good evening and afternoon, everyone. This is going to be a hard one. It's from my new blog post called We Need Scaffolding, and I'll put the link on it afterwards, but I've been encouraged by a lot of awesome men out there to recognize that we all need help, and so here goes. In our Detroit explorations, we've come across the DeQuinder Cut. It's a bike and walkway running from the Eastern Market to the riverfront. Along the way, there are some amazing moments of art and expression, and I'll put these pictures up. So all week I've been moved by this one piece of graffiti that said, "We need scaffolding." It would also be really interesting that in my last 2 weeks of talking with some local Christians and with some of the sermons I've heard, it's been a lot of the sermons and discussions have been the need to lift up the ability to ask for help, and to ask for help often. It may not always feel very American to do that, but to admit we need something and we need to rely upon someone else to get it. But it certainly is resoundingly human. 1 second, I'm trying to read along. Hi Tony, hi Mom. Julio! You're gonna be a citizen soon, that's awesome. Okay, so anyway. A few years ago, our Los Angeles home church, Hollywood Presbyterian, it needed to renovate its steeple, and as it was a safety hazard. So from the outward appearance, welcome to Burns Avenue. From the outward appearance, nothing looked wrong, but Raphael, the guy who holds all the keys, showed it to me from the inside. Plaster and bricks had been crumbling, and without immediate repair, it could wreak all kinds of havoc, as a moderate to severe earthquake could bring it all down. So they started a campaign to raise money, a capital campaign, because the city wouldn't allow the church to just take down the steeple because it was pending being confirmed for like a historical site registry, and the federal government would fine us heavily if OSHA, if it wasn't repaired. So a huge scaffold went up and skeletoned around the entire southwest corner of our sanctuary. What's up, Trish? Scaffolds sometimes go up to help with cleaning a facade, but in this case they went up to hold the building up as it was transformed from within. So we all need friends and communities to scaffold us, as we are all works in progress. We might become really good at outward-facing strength, but inside we all have a bit of a crumble. Can I get a witness? What's up, Dina? We all have the ability to crumble from the inside. So, a symptom of Whiteousness that I see is the inability to own our internal crumbles. We are either too proud, too scared, or too oblivious to recognize that we too need help. Even if we're not currently on welfare, as my family is, we are on Medicare and possibly on food stamps during this time of income instability. And even if we're not currently without a job or underemployed, as we are, I am driving for Lyft while we are waiting on some other potential prospects we've submitted resumes to. But even if we think we've got all our shit together, we still are not above being the interdependent creatures that God designed us to be. And white people, I can say this because I know us, even the woke and the good ones, whatever you want to call it, we forget that we need each other and we need others. We forget this all too often. We feel like we got to keep it all together. So it was this very dear African American and Vietnamese community in New Orleans that really helped me recognize this need 18 years ago. I needed to ask for help. I needed to ask for help. I need to ask for help. I remember that it isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength and humility. I have not learned this from modern politics, or even always from our pulpits. It's from the folks that I have had to ask for help from. That's who I've learned it from. And it saved my life. Laying down the pride actually strengthened me. Laying down the white savior complex that I was going to save the world brought me to a more real understanding of my actual purpose and power to play a role in moving the arc of history towards greater justice. Laying down this esteemed life that movies and sitcoms and television shows show, I have learned that there is more in embracing the reality of the ebb and flow of lament and joy and struggle and pain. Hey Glenn. So I am publicly alongside an additional effort with some very trusted individuals asking for help. Let me read you a Bible verse. Real wisdom, God's wisdom, begins with a holy life and is characterized by getting along with others. It is gentle and reasonable, overflowing with mercy and blessings, not hot one day and cold the next, not two-faced. You can develop a healthy, robust community that lives right with God and enjoy its results only if you do the hard work of getting along with each other, treating each other with dignity and honor. That's from James 3. And so this is our new community. You can't see anyone now because it's getting October cold. I'm actually shivering a little bit. That's for more than one reason. This is Burns Avenue. This is a community of people that have already started to really reach out to us as we were reaching out to them. They baked us things and yelled at our kids when they cross the street, because sometimes we get some drag racing down here. Yell at my kids all you want if you're going to keep them safe. So anyway, yesterday I posted a scathing blog. 90% of that was directly out of the Bible. It was also written by our good friend James, who I just read from. It was about the power, both the curse-worthy and bless-worthy power of the human tongue. It was directly a response to the minimizing I keep hearing about nasty, nasty, bottom-of-the-gutter, nasty, repulsive things a particular person running for a particular office keeps saying. Sayings about people and sayings about deeds and actions one is able to get away with when one is at a particular level in society. Immediately, though, I'm not really want to talk about that. After pushing publish, another verse came into my heart and my thinking, and that verse is, "You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye." And that's from Matthew. That name is not doing well this week, but there's a good word from Matthew. So here's the log in my own eye. Here's where I'm asking for my own comprehensive scaffolding. So the woman who agreed to marry me 11 and a half years ago and still mostly thinks that's a worthwhile decision is in deep pain. We've just moved our lives across the country, our 2 girls and our 2 pet mice, and roughly 50-60% of the belongings we held in LA. It's all been rolled along the complicated blessing of our nation's interstate system to relocate here in downtown Detroit. So here we are. During those 6,000 miles we put on our Honda CR-V, we had many great moments and locked-in memories that will permanently be part of our family story. But some of those memories are terrible, and I wish I could flip it and reverse it. I've been listening to The Bounce, 101.5 The Bounce. Let me just shout it out. Detroit's new throwback R&B, and Missy Elliott is played a lot. It's good. It's good stuff. But anyway, I wish I could flip it and reverse that trip. Like the moment where we screamed at each other in Pasadena. Like the moment I almost got on a plane in Phoenix alone. Like the freak out moment in the car with the girls somewhere in Navajo country between Denver and Austin. Like the huge war we waged upon the first month in Michigan, one where I had to move out of my parents' house and with some friends downtown just to gather myself. I'm not proud of any of this, but it's true, all of it. One might say, you might be saying, well, you're under a great stress and duress with such a huge move. Yeah. And you might also say a road trip, being stuck in the car together for that long is bound to bring up some unique and potent conflicts. Yeah, that's true again. But here's the real truth. I am guilty of verbally attacking my wife. She's a human being and she's hurt me in deep ways. And she's owning that to the best of her abilities, and I can see that. Though I'm afraid we'll never quite get to the zenith of understanding and peace I really hope for and we can achieve. But that fear gets out of control sometimes and it boils over. I've been placing all kinds of pressures and expectations and unclear demands, and when she doesn't read my mind fully, I've succumbed to screaming at her. So much so that she has told me there are times she's afraid to tell me anything. She's even sometimes anxious when I come home that I might be disappointed with some state of home life and start freaking out about it. I've never physically hit her. But words, as I reminded you yesterday, can destroy the entire world, our entire sense of peace at home. And they can. It's horrible, it's not okay. Me, the guy who was always seen as a feminist even as early as middle school. Me, the guy who claims that Tori Amos's music led him back to exploring the Bible by bravely calling out rape culture and misogyny and hypocrisy in the church. Me, the guy who fights for space for the unheard voices of our society to be given their days in the sun. Me, the guy who's so passionate about God's words, about the beauty of diversity and community, cannot always handle when the strong and sensitive woman who walks this world with him has a different perspective and opinion. So sometimes I feel like I just might be the log that needs to be removed. Now, I am not saying statements like our billionaire du jour, that is pending classification by the IRS, but I'm not saying statements like him. But that doesn't mean I'm not complicit in some form of misogynistic culture that belittles women and expects something from them. Expects something from any other person who without a sincere plan to meet them halfway with an equal effort. Rape culture, the belittling of women, the using of women, is an evil bedfellow with white elitism, or what I call whiteousness, here in this country. And when myself, a quasi-straight white male, decides to wield anger to gain power over a situation when I feel weak or scared, I'm a participant in both rape culture and whiteousness. I'm guilty. You might not have been able to see that from my steeple, but inside I have some real decay that needs some tending to. I'm working with a counselor to find better ways of expressing the way my wife has scared me, has disappointed me, and has left me feeling insecure in our marriage. But I gotta find those ways soon, or all of this might topple down in our next earthquake with great danger for our daughters. So I need any of you who feel me right now to hold me up. In prayer and in solidarity and in person when available for those of you in Detroit. I need the best of the church right now. I need to ask for forgiveness constantly as my fears keep springing up way more than I care to admit, and I need accountability. Because this whole table setters venture, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans if I can't trust the beauty of the diversity I'm preaching. And that comes to diversity of thought, diversity of gender, diversity of all these people around us. My new brother in activism, Abraham Leitner, is an awesome guy. I'll make a link to his writing. He recently wrote this: Donald Trump is a good illustration of why all men should be willing to risk everything in the struggle to end toxic masculinity. So this here is my agreement with that statement, and this is my risk. If I'm not willing to own my own toxic masculinity and really work on making changes with the help of caring and loving and committed friends like yourself, then how could I advocate that any of you do the same? So I'll end with this. I'm filled with a tentative hope. I've been in a similar mess before, in Ann Arbor, in New Orleans, at Lake Winnipesaukee, in West Hollywood, in Reseda. What's up, Krista? Thanks, Juan. Juan Pablo. I have come to terms with my own awfulness, which is to say, I have named and worked on the damaging outward behaviors of allowing fears to hold sway in my heart. And I did this with admission first and asking for help. So I'm reaching out now. I'm asking for scaffolding as I work to reshape the stability of my faith to better handle my joys and fears. It's cold. I also challenge all you men out there to own your own, quote, locker room banter, if that's what it can be called. If you're suspecting you might be abusive to someone in your own life, admit it. Stop. Ask for help. Don't pride yourself on thinking, well, at least I'm not as bad as him or him. If you're not willing to ask, first ask the women in your life for their opinion of how you treat them. Because it matters. And it should. We should all be accountable to one another, especially those we've chosen to share life with. And we should all ask for help with dismantling our internal infrastructures that tend to prefer domination over collaboration. I need help dismantling my own toxic, mansplaining righteousness. And you might need help as well. So I ask for your prayers, and I will pray for you too. To all of you who know who you are, thank you for supporting us this far. We press forward with greater and greater recognition of our shared humanity at more and more beautiful and interesting tables, on and on and on and on. And now I got Erykah Badu in my head. But may fear never be on our menu at these tables. And when it finds its way in, be that our family table, the tables at our churches, the tables at our workplaces, when fear finds its way in, may we hold hands, link arms, and lift each other up. May we use our tongues to bless each other until the temperature is just right to cook any fear out of the meal and make room to really enjoy the different flavors we all bring, whether that's our neighbors or the people that have married us. I'm afraid. I'm cold, but I'm also encouraged. Men of all skin tones, let's actually answer this very particular call to be men. The kind of men we know we ought to be. We know we're going to hear some ridiculousness tonight, if we even turn it on. But the kind of men we know we really could be if we could only just admit that sometimes we need help from one another to hold each other accountable. That we don't have to get it right all the time, but that when we falter, we need strong support to pull us back up. I need strong support right now. And sometimes we need to admit that women are stronger for having had to endure all the insults and abuse we've hurled on them for all of these years. So, may the strength and scaffolding of the incredible women in our lives be an inspiration for us to become stronger men from the inside out. Thank you for listening, everyone. This was hard and scary, but this is my apology to you, Darcy. And I promise to seek more help and to seek more scaffolding. And I love you. And I have a misogynistic white male and his ridiculous statements to thank for making me recognize the need to do some more work on myself. And men out there, take heart. We're not alone, but we need to admit some things, and thanks to all of you who have been doing such a great job with that. I'm inspired, and I'm here for you. I hope you're here for me. Thanks, everybody.